Hi guys, welcome back to another Q4FY24 result update. In today's video, we're going to be talking about three companies, like three companies from three different sectors actually. So we'll be talking about ACE, Action Construction Equipment, Zen Technologies Limited, and the last one will be Tolins Tyres. Okay, so all the three companies will be covering it. And yeah, if you guys want to understand the business model, do refer to the business analysis playlist in my YouTube channel where I've covered everything in depth. Okay. So first thing first, let's talk about ACE, Action Construction Equipment. Okay. Now, if you've seen about this company, you all know, I think by now, these people make cranes, like they manufacture cranes and they sell the cranes. They don't rent the cranes out, they manufacture the cranes, and this is where the majority of the revenue is coming in. Other than that, they have this, material handling equipments, which is used in warehousing. They have construction equipment, commonly called as, we refer to as JCB, right? We refer it the vehicle by the brand name, right? So they make all of these things. Even they make tractors also. Okay, this is roughly the business model. Now if you look at this company, you would have seen, not this year, the year before that, if you see, they were growing at, like, 35 to 40%, that kind of growth rate, right? In fact, if you look at them, they were the kind of company that came and that increased guidance every quarter, right? Every quarter they would do, and they would also, like, overperform whatever the guidance was also given by them, right? But we saw in this year, we saw that these people had revised the guidance. They told ke, like, starting of the year, they mentioned ke, like, we would be growing this year instead of the usual 30-40% that we do. We will revise the guidance and we will be growing by 15 to 20%. In that range, we would be growing. And let us see, probably in H1 we will see, if we would, if we will revise the guidance or not. We will look at it in H1, because the first half of the year we had elections. The conditions weren't looking that great due to the elections and everything, right? And then came H1, right? In H1 also, they didn't revise the guidance. The guidance was similar, again, like, 15%. Now here is the thing, right? What I see is a lot of bias with people. They listen to the same management when the management increases the guidance, but when the same person comes and decreases the guidance, they somehow, believe that they know better than the person who's running the company. And they're so hell-bent, they're so bullish ke, like, nahi nahi nahi, ye to karega hi karega, whatever they give the guidance. Like, I just don't understand, how do you trust the same person when they're increasing the guidance, but fail to again take that person's, words in face value, when it is the same person who is also coming in the same call and decreasing the guidance. Okay. So obviously, as a result, ki, like, again, the numbers are, what they actually told. If you look at sales has been up by 15% on a year-on-year basis. PAT is up by 25%. If you look on a Q4 on Q4, sales is up by 13 and PAT is up by 20%. Okay. So that is, I mean, again, result or not that, I mean, if you look according to the guidance, yes. But having said that, the game was over the day they came and they told, okay, like, guidance has been reduced and everything, right? That is over. And now, if you look at them, if you look at some other updates of the company, what is it like? These people have got a defense order, worth around 420 crores. Now the thing is, we do not know what is the, like, see, whenever a company gets a defense order, it is great, but all this 420 crore, I do not know if it is going to be executed in a year or 3 years or 5 years, like, what is the time duration. But even if they do get, defense still is a very small part of the revenue. It hardly contributes 4 to 5%. Okay. Other than that, if you look at it, I'll tell you the biggest thing over here that has been a blow. Okay. I think for ACE is, first, the guidance was reduced. Okay. And I think this will be the first year, like FY26 is going to be the first year where we are going to see the sales will also have, you will witness probably a degrowth in sales on a Q1 on Q1 basis, and subsequently on Q2 basis, because the upcoming year ka guidance, agar aap dekhte ho, FY26 ka guidance, the guidance is to grow by 14 to 15% in that range. Let me remind you, 30 से 40 से कितना हुआ, 18 to 20% का growth engine, pace of growth कम हुआ. Abhi they're telling probably somewhere between 14 to 15% you can expect. Why they're not, why the guidance has been reduced is because, one, there is a lot of uncertainty in the environment due to the trade issues. But the biggest thing is, if you look at their equipments that they have, whatever they sell, there has been a change in emission norms, and this we've been seeing for the last 1 year. They've been telling, BS3 se BS4 certain engines have to get upgraded, and BS3 se certain engines to BS5. Now especially these engines which are going from BS3 BS3 to BS5 na, the emission norms, वहां पे obviously the higher emissions, the higher norms you go for, the price revision also will be there. So the price usually, usually what happens, price revision is between 2 to 3%, but यहाँ पे the price revision is up by 12%, and obviously the consumer will feel a pinch, right? Think about it. आपका एक crane का cost starts somewhere between 20 lakhs, it starts from there. 20 lakhs if you're telling it is like a 12% ka growth, some ka, depending on the size of the crane, it can even up to go to 80 lakhs also, right? Crane ka prices. Think about that. In that 12% pinch is a huge thing, right? So because of this, there could be a little bit, cutback in terms of demand. There could be a cutback in terms of buying, until people get accustomed to the new price. Okay? So all of these reasons, and also this time we see, right, the monsoon is very early, quite early. Obviously, when the monsoon is early, what happens? Most of the construction activities get halted. If construction activities is getting halted, obviously, who's going to buy your cranes and other things, right? All this which are used probably in the construction only, right? So these are the reasons why the guidance has again be reduced. The other big, like I told you, guidance is again reduced from last year. We are going to see probably a sales growth may, degrowth in sales, which is a big red flag. And the third thing over here, they were supposed to double their revenue. FY24 ka jo base tha, double the revenue in the span of next 3 years, that is by FY27. And the target for FY26 was 4,400 crore in revenue. Management ने खुल के बोला है कि we will fall short probably of 4,400 crore. Probably it might not be able to achieve in this year, maybe next year. Which means what? वो 3 साल का उन्होंने बोला था FY24 से we will double the revenue from FY24, by FY27. That will get delayed. Probably it will be done by FY28 or FY29. Now you understand why I take, whenever you guys ask me why you only take 1 year ka forward PE. You do not know what is going to happen in the 3 years, right? FY24 में ACE was the greatest thing that ever happened, right? But now that you see, it is no longer the same case, because we live in a world, right, which is very dynamic, which keeps changing over here. ठीक है, इसका यहाँ पे कोई गलती नहीं है, but unfortunately the environment is no longer as susceptible as it was in FY23, 24, or the year before that. So now you understand the problem, right? कि जो कुछ भी है, right, whatever you see, take from a year perspective and देख लो कि execute करता है नहीं. Take 1 year at a time. We are not running the company. We do not know the management at the end of the day. So इतना confidence भी, you shouldn't be, like I always tell, overly optimistic भी ना बनो, overly pessimistic भी ना बनो, बीच में रहो लो, ठीक है? That is it, ठीक है? So obviously यहाँ पे ACE का, if people start getting ACE right now, because you've probably seen that journey from 400 to 1600 almost, how it's been, and now वो 1600 से 1200 में आ गया है, and people will be like, now they'll start accumulating the stocks. If you do so right now, if you buy ACE right now, you are like, you are going to be stuck for life, like that's what I can tell, okay? So anybody buying ACE right now, with a hope कि it will go back, to the glorious days, you are just putting your heart in kitchen over here. That is all I can tell. Then the second company we will be doing is Zen Technologies. I mean, what a fantastic year this company has had. I think, and actually respect to the shareholders over here who has, withstood the kind of volatility this stock has had over, I think, over the last 6 months, right? Crazy. But yeah, Zen Technologies also, again, if you look at them, they are a pure defense company. These people not just design but also manufacture and do everything end to end with the products that they have. Again, I've explained all of this in one of the business model videos that I've done. You can refer to that. Just type Zen Technology Spray, now you'll find it in one of the videos. But basically, these people do this simulation equipments. That, like, I mean, you would have seen, right, what happened with Operation Sindoor. A lot of their equipments were also used in that Operation ka Sindoor ka thing. But let me get to the point over here. Let me get मुद्दे का बात करते हैं यहाँ पे. The guidance for this year was what? 900 crores to do in terms of revenue. PAT margin था 25% का target and EBITDA margin था 35% का target. ठीक है? This was what was told by the management. But they went and did over and above. ठीक है? Because if you look at the sales ended up with 973 crores. EBITDA margin is 44%. And if you look at the PAT margin is around 30%. ठीक है? So obviously, whatever thing they have done, they have brilliantly executed. ठीक है? Now here is the thing, you cannot invest on what has been done in the past. ठीक है? What has been done in the past, great, lot of respect for the management, for the execution and everything. Your aim is to see आगे will they be able to execute the same thing or not? That is the most important thing. What has happened with Zen with FY25 ka result, it is all in the past. It has happened well, lot of respect. But what is important for you as a shareholder is what will happen in the future. If you had invested in Zen in FY24, after listening, because the management had spoken at that time to double the revenue and everything, that time if you had done, great. But now if you invest based on FY25 ka result, then again there is no bigger, I would say, person, probably, I do not know the word, stupid, fool, whatever you want to call it, than you. Because if you look at their order book, right, first of all, let's target the order book. The order book of FY26 they have as of now is 600 crore only. What has been the FY25 ka sale? 973 crore, okay? And which means what? The order book for the upcoming year is lesser than the sales that has been clocked in FY25, correct? That is number one. And with respect to the order book, the management has been very quietly, they have told, yes, probably in H1 we will be a little bit clear, if we can increase the order book or not. But having said that, this year, what the orders that are there, it has been delayed a lot, okay? So whatever the orders they were supposed to get, it has been delayed by quite a bit. And because of that, by H1 we will be a bit clear. But the management ने खुल के ये बोला है कि FY26 expect a muted growth for Zen Technologies. Muted growth का मतलब क्या है? आपका sales FY25 से FY26 का अगर आप देखते हो पूरा साल में, you might not see any kind of growth at all. FY24 versus FY25 आपने देखा कितना 130% का sales growth था. FY25 versus FY26 you might not see any sales growth at all. ठीक है? Why? Because the order book is quite delayed. There are a lot of problems in terms of receiving the order. यहाँ पे as you know, right, all of this works on a government contract and everything, so there has been a delay. This is also told, I was a bit, when I actually read Zen Technologies on Saturday, मैंने आज सुबह एस का पढ़ा था, एंड आई वाज लाइक व्हेन आई टोल्ड, ठीक है, आई थॉट कि ठीक है, H1 तक probably there's a buffer. But when I see the same kind of like tone in terms of in terms of action construction equipment, that made me realize no, this is actually serious with Zen. Probably we whatever they told, maybe they will do in FY26 also, probably like 1000 crore or 973 crore, somewhere in that range only. It might not be, probably in H1 also you might not see the order book, because the situation is actually that bad, the entire manufacturing space. Okay? And I'll tell you something, because I think everybody who's followed me from the start, if you've been on my Twitter, since 2023, you would know, I don't think there was anybody who spoke about ACE so highly as me, right? It used to be one of my holdings, by the way, ACE, once upon a time. And for the first time, I saw Saurabh Agarwal, use the word cautiously optimistic. And I will tell you, when the management uses that word cautiously optimistic, now that is done and dusted for that company. Okay? It's over, bro. It's completely done. And Saurabh Agarwal, I tell you, I absolutely love that man. He's been in ACE since 1992. I'm born in 98. He's been working way more than I've been alive on this planet. And him using that word cautiously optimistic, and I've been tracking this company, since 21 ACE, and I've never heard that man use that word. And that literally sealed the deal for me, with Zen. Probably this year is going to be not that great for them. Now here is the thing, obviously they also mentioned over here, with respect to Zen, unka jo long term guidance hai, right, with which is, that is by FY27 or 28, in the span of next 3 years they will do around 6000 crore odd, cumulatively to the top line, 50% kind of CAGR over the year. Earlier, if you look at it for Zen Technologies also, they told for the next 3 years we'll do 50% CAGR. Abhi aake bol rahe for the next 1 year we might not do 50%, but maybe for the next 2 years. But here is the thing, ठीक है, it's the same thing as action construction equipment. Connect the dots over here. उन्होंने भी वही बोला था ना, 3 साल में we will double the revenue, but हुआ नहीं, हो रहा है. Now they're postponing, नहीं 3 साल नहीं, शायद 4 या 5 साल में हो जाएगा. ठीक है. Same thing with Zen Technologies also. You are not running the company. I am not running the company. None of us know anybody in the board or what is happening. It might happen, but also at the same time, if you're being optimistic, you might be like, yeah, sure, it will happen. 3 साल में they can reach that 6000 crore of revenue. But if it doesn't happen, what will you do? So if you invest today hoping that 6000 crore होगा, again, you are going to, just आप गड्ढे में अपना हाथ डाल रहे हो. That is all I can tell. A lot of people, what I see is they look at that FY25 का result and they're investing right now on Zen Technologies, which is absolutely the worst thing to do right now. ठीक है, wait for some time, wait until H1, see if the order book is increasing, look at the tone. वरना क्या होगा, wait until 1 year ना, Q4 में देख लो if they're, if the order book is coming back up or not. Because you might think like, oh, I'm buying the dip, I'm buying the dip. शायद वो FY26 के end में, they are telling like, no, 6,000 crore, maybe not 3 years, maybe 5 years or 6 years. What will you do that time? ठीक है, here at least, and not just that, imagine the return now. 1 year you will be probably अटका होगा Zen Technologies में. Maybe you can put your money somewhere else and make money now. What is the worst thing that is going to happen? Volatility के वजह से you might have to buy Zen Technologies maybe 30-40% up. Much better knowing the confidence के like, yes, things have improved, to invest the money after that, then let's say, with the hope of investing के like, FY26 के बाद या H1 के बाद order book will increase. FY26 के बाद, management will come back again and they will tell के like, no, yes, 50% CAGR from, FY27, 28 and so forth. How do you know? What if the same situation happens that happened with ACE? ACE was supposed to do 6,600 crore this year and we're supposed to double the revenue by 27. नहीं हो रहा है ना अभी environment के वजह से. ACE का management का गलती था? नहीं था. Sometimes with or without the management fault happens that the company misses the guidance. But you as a shareholder have to be smart enough to understand, not have that emotional attachment and be like, okay, fine. The management has told, now let's do the other thing यहाँ पे. So that is the thing. That is the thing with Zen Technologies, that FY26 this year will be muted. Okay? And I also caught up with not just in the con call, a couple of interviews also, like they've been talking about that only. FY26 is going to be muted, maybe not a lot of growth, and like I told you, earlier guidance for Zen Technologies for FY26 was 1350 crores, which they might not do in this year. Like I told you, muted growth hai, theek hai. The last company that we will be doing is Tolins Tyres. theek hai. Tolins Tyres, I mean, what can I tell? theek hai. First of all, if you look at this company, if you let me tell you, when they came IPO में लाया था, they had done all the capex. ठीक है, they had acquired a plant and everything they had done. Now the entire reason for them to do IPO was to take this IPO का money, ठीक है, and fund the working capital requirements. That was the number one thing, and get rid of the debt. Okay, they had taken debt to do the capex in their Kaladi का plant in Kerala. That was the thing. ठीक है. Now over here what has happened is, and they had also mentioned, by the way, because Tolins Tyre क्या करते हैं, ये tire and thread rubber that is there, they do this. Okay, now over here when you're doing tire or any components of tire, what is your main raw material? Your main raw material is rubber. ठीक है, natural rubber that is there. ठीक है, but rubber का एक season होता है. ठीक है, the season is, I believe, in the first half of the year, and between this rainy season, that is June से August तक, they don't what do you call, I don't know what is the right word, I believe production, you don't get the production of natural rubber. It is completely halted due to the rainy season. Now what happens at that time, the supply is not there but the demand is there, so the price gets inflated a lot. ठीक है, and उन्होंने बोला था, the last time they told, we will not face any issues in terms of raw material, because we stay, our plant is near Kerala and we have got everything in Kerala, we have stocked up our rubber and everything, we will not have any impact in terms of raw material, उसके वजह से हमारा margins impact नहीं होगा. And they were very bullish, कि like ये जो उनका प्लांट है, at that time it was running at 30% capacity utilization. ठीक है, and they were like, we will reach this capacity utilization to a certain amount, we will, and they also had gotten Apollo का एक बड़ा order मिल गया था, because of which the plant was supposed to reach at least 50% cap, in that. And then comes Q3 ka result, we see that the sales is down by 10%, very disappointing set of numbers. And comes Q4 right now, it is way worse than what Q3 was. ठीक है, if you look at the sales is down 19% on a Q4 on Q4 basis, and PAT is down by 32%. Now year on year, if with respect, if you see, you will see that sales is up by 28% and PAT is up by 48%. The reason is because if you look at the last year, that is FY24-25, H1 was muted. ठीक है, for them H1 was muted. ठीक है, so FY24-25 had that low base effect. ठीक है, and FY23-24 had that low base effect. So now when you're comparing 24 with 25, you're also going to take H1 and H2 of last year with H1 and H2 of this year now. So that is why you see that 28% ka growth, because last year ka H1 was muted. So because of that, when you see pura saal ka, you see like 28% ka growth, but that is not the case. Other thing you will also see is, you will see that अरे भाई operating leverage कितना मिल रहा है इनको, because Q4 on Q4 PAT is up 32%, 22%, and year on year PAT is up by almost 50%. ठीक है. That is also another reason, is because if you go to their income statement, look at the line item called as finance cost. ठीक है. Finance cost was obviously ना, like I told you, ये IPO का जो पैसा था, they got rid of the debt from the IPO. Now obviously if you're getting rid of the debt, you don't have to pay interest anymore. अगर आप interest नहीं pay करते हो, finance cost becomes less. Finance cost is a part of expense. Sales minus expense is your profit. Lesser expense, more profit. The finance cost went from 60 crore to 70L. ठीक है. 60 crore से 70L हुआ. ठीक है. So that is the reason. Last time finance cost was 60 crore. This time it is 70 lakhs. ठीक है. What I mean, you understand, right? So इसके वजह से इसको इतना बड़ा ऑपरेटिंग लेवरेज मिला. ठीक है. बट अदर देन दैट, इफ यू लुक एट इट, जैसे मैंने बोला था, राइट, लाइक इन टर्म्स ऑफ देयर रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट, इन टर्म्स ऑफ देयर मार्जिन्स एंड एवरीथिंग, थोड़ा सा ही मार्जिन्स हैज बीन अफेक्टेड. मार्जिन्स इज एट 19.7 वर्सेस 20.4. बट व्हाट आई डिडंट लाइक, द मैनेजमेंट बोल रहा था कि लाइक रॉ मटेरियल का वॉलेटिलिटी है, दैट इन दिस, मतलब देन व्हाई डिड यू टेल रॉ मटेरियल का वॉलेटिलिटी, वी विल नॉट फेस दैट ब्रांड इन while after coming for IPO. Now you're telling rubber prices has been increased and that and this. ठीक है. Other than that, उसका अगर आप operations में देखते हो ना, the Apollo का the order that they got, it didn't get operationalized in the last 2 quarters, that is Q3 and Q4. It is supposed to happen in probably either in Q1 or Q2. ठीक है. वो भी एक चीज है. Then उनका जो they export into Europe and America, in certain GCC countries, Middle Eastern countries, not much volatility, but in the last 2 quarters, that is in H2, they had a lot of Europe में a lot of problems were happening. As a result, that also impacted the sales. ठीक है. अगर आगे का oh sorry, Apollo ka shipment started in Q4, so we should see that getting realized in revenue. But if you look at aage ka thing na, like if you look at the next few the next year and the next few years, right now the capacity utilization is at 35%. They are telling they will reach 75% capacity utilization in the next 3 years. 3 साल में 75 होगा. That is one thing. And the other thing is, अगर आप उनका guidance देखते हो, they are guiding for a 20% CAGR. ठीक है. So roughly that is a 350 crore kind of run rate for the next year, FY26, and which means roughly agar मैं very simple calculation if I do, that is roughly 350 divided by 4, because we have 4 quarters, that is around 87 crores every quarter, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And if I see last Q1 में उन्होंने किया था 70 crore, 70 से 87 अगर मैं करूँ, that is roughly somewhere between 11 to 15% kind of growth on a Q1 versus Q1, Q2 versus Q2, that kind of basis. पूरा साल में maybe 20%, but that is a thing ना, ये in this tire industry, when you have so much volatility and that like इतना B2B business है, razor thin margins and everything, a 20% growth, and then on a quarter on quarter, that is Q1 versus Q1, if you are expecting 11 to 15% growth, I do not know if you are giving me with any P आप दे लो, मतलब it might be at a 20P, उससे भी कम P हो, 20% का growth or 15% का growth engine at 20P, you tell me, you are taking so much volatility in the market. I do not know if it is going to be a good deal or not. ठीक है. मतलब 20% के लिए इतना volatility, और वो भी इस सेक्टर में जहाँ पे एक दिन रबर का प्राइस ऊपर होगा, दूसरे दिन रबर का प्राइस नीचे होगा, एक दिन कहीं पे वॉर चल रहा है because of which आपका शिपमेंट नहीं जा रहा है. मतलब I do not know. You guys let me know how would you feel about a 20% kind of growth in this sector. ठीक है. So that's that about the 3 companies, Zen Technologies, Ace and Tolins Tire. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the thing. I really hope Zen can like actually pull up its order book, and we see it does a 50% kind of growth in the upcoming 2 years. But for sure FY26 is going to be muted, and anybody investing in Zen looking at FY25 numbers, it's you are in for a lot of pain. That's what I can tell you. ठीक है. That is the thing. It's not a buy or sell recommendation obviously, but but how else can I tell you the reality as it is? Like, I mean, how else do I do that, right? That's that. And yeah, also guys, if you want to understand like right now, if you see, I spoke regarding a certain metrics only, right? Guidance, sales and everything, and that is enough for you to gain how to exactly look at the PPT, how to exactly look at the con call, how do you solve this puzzle between the management covers. If you want to understand this, get the investment checklist workshop. I'm going to link it both in the description box as well as the comment section. And also, if you want to understand how to build your portfolio, like how do you cut, like for example, if you had Ace in your portfolio. You were supposed to cut it when the guidance was reduced. How do you allocate your money somewhere else? How do you generate an alpha? Get the portfolio analysis workshop. I'm going to link it both in the description box below. Yeah. So that's that for today's video. I will see you again tomorrow, or maybe another video. But for now, I have to go to the gym. Bye.